Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Walford from the Miami-Dade TPO, and welcome to the May 11th, 2021 edition of the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So this is one of our continuing workshops in which we discuss these bicycle pedestrian issues for the county. Next slide. This is the agenda for today. I'm going to go over the rules of engagement. Then we're going to have 3 presentations, one from the City of South Miami under protected bike lanes, the monthly report from the Department of Transportation and Public Works, and then the monthly report from FDOT District 6. As you can see, the next workshop on there is June 8th of 2021. Next slide. And I'm going to go over the rules of engagement. It'll be on the screen, but I'm going to read them anyway for the record, seeing as we're being recorded, if anybody has visually impaired. Guidelines. This workshop is being held virtually and being recorded. If you experience technical difficulties, please contact Lisa Wan at the number and email you see on the screen so that she can help assist you. All attendees will remain muted throughout the duration of this workshop. If you wish to provide a comment, please use the raise hand button. The chair will first acknowledge you and your microphone will be unmuted. Please proceed by first providing your full name, agency represented, and then your comment. Your microphone will remain unmuted until the comment has been fully addressed. In compliance with all applicable rules and regulations, no actions or motions shall be permitted. Discussion shall be limited to matters listed in the published workshop agenda. Permissible discussions include presentations, questions and answers, and comments related to the presentation. Any member deviating from these guidelines will be reminded as to the limitations of any such discussion. Please hold all comments until presentations are concluded. Next slide. All right, and then before we go to the start with the next slide, I'm just running over the current participants. And as of now, we have 1 BPAC member, that being Eric Tolberg. So for the record, we have 1 BPAC member present at this time. And South Miami Protected Bike Lanes, this will be presented by Mr. Aurelio Carmenadas for the City of South Miami. Aurelio, you have the floor.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for everyone and for the committee to allow me to make this presentation on the Southwest 64th Street Protected Bike Lane from Southwest 57th Avenue to Southwest 62nd Avenue. Next slide. So to give you an overview, I'm going to go over how the project got initiated. I'm going to go over the project overview, the process, the funding, the project timeline, the public support, and then at the end, I'll take any questions. Next slide. So initially, the City of South Miami decided to enhance the existing transportation system and mobility choices available to residents, workers, and visitors to the city. In 2012, the City Commission approved funding from PTP to create the South Miami Intermodal Transportation Plan. In 2013, the City of South Miami was awarded a grant from the MPO. And in January 2015, the City of South Miami completed the South Miami Intermodal Transportation Plan. Next slide. In an effort to enhance the existing transportation system, despite its many positive attributes, challenges, and that existed within the transportation system, it was made difficult for the city to maintain the pleasant living ideal. So the city embarked on the beginning of a Greenway network where connectivity improvements needed to be identified to solve challenges presented by significant gaps in the Greenway network. The project achieved connectivity and provided people with sustainable, safe, and effective alternative to personal motorized vehicles. It reduced vehicle trips, it reduced vehicle congestion, and improved mobility. The process required coordination and reviews by Miami-Dade County Department of Transportation and Public Works. The cities of Miami executed a covenant with Miami-Dade County for maintenance of the improvements, and a interlocal agreement was modified to include bike sharrows, which are integral part and were included as part of the project. Construction of the project was completed in February 17th, 2021. As I mentioned before, the City Commission approved in 2012 and received from PTP funds the South Miami Intermodal Transportation Plan, which then started and was completed in 2015. The city went ahead and spent $178,000 for design and to develop construction drawings based on the the findings on the South Miami Intermodal Transportation Plan. The city received funding participation in the amount of $60,000 from Miami-Dade County Public Housing Community Development Block Grant for the design, and $294,916 from the Miami-Dade County Public Housing Community Development Block Grant for construction. In addition, the city of Miami received and spent from the People's Transportation Tax funding the amount of $103,541. The project timeline started in May 17, 2017. The design and the permitting lasted all the way up to April 29, 2020, when final construction drawings were developed. Construction bid package was prepared in May, and the project was advertised in June of 2020. The construction was awarded in August 2020, and the construction finalized in February 17, 2021. Next slide. I included the schedule of values for the project in the amount of $398,457 for the work that was completed, which included the new dedicated bike lane. There was concrete curbs that were added, and all the pavement markings for the dedicated bike lane. Next slide. In addition to having public workshops that were attended by city residents, stakeholders, and staff, the city also had public support from the Green Task Force Committee, Bike SOMI, SOMI Magazine, and Urban Health Partnership. The next slide, which I think it's pretty much the end of the presentation, and if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Hello, Eric Tolberg, the sole member here. Did Kevin Wolford pass on to you my email with some of my comments?
I did not see that email.
I do not believe I passed that on, Eric.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, I'll just kind of read from it. I would like you, though, to have. I've got a graphic that shows why the bike lanes are great, but they need to be extended. First, I see that you did not put protected bike lanes from 59th Court to 60th Avenue. Was there just not enough right of way in that area?
That's correct.
Okay, and then from 60th Avenue, they're unprotected bike lanes to 62nd Avenue.
The design for that section was a bike path or bike route, not intent of the design to have that portion dedicated or protected.
Okay, so and I noticed the bike lanes end about 200 foot before 62nd Avenue. I assume that's so that you could put in the turn lanes.
That's correct. The other section that supposed to go from 62nd Avenue, 69th Avenue, I believe we are having discussions with Miami-Dade County for possible implementation of that section. We originally intended to do the entire bicycle path from 57th to 69th Avenue, but unfortunately the residents, there were many trees that were impacted and the item died in commission.
Okay, so that was my major ask. I prepared a map, Southwest SW 64645 BLB, and it shows that we have the Ludlam Trail, which is roughly 70th Avenue. And if you could extend them another 0.8 of a mile, it would greatly improve mobility. Is there some way you can revisit it? I realize you can't put protected bike lanes, but I'll take anything I can get.
Yeah, we're definitely working with Miami-Dade County. Part of the Ludlam Trail is to have the connection on the Ludlam Trail as well. I know I've submitted the plans, forwarded the plans to Miami-Dade County, but I'm not sure at this point where the project is at.
Okay, thank you very much. They're really nice bike lanes. We also have protected bike lanes on Southwest 211th Street. But I was surprised what made you go to protected bike lanes, because it seems the street isn't as busy as many others that have regular bike lanes.
I was not here when they did all the traffic studies, but I know that 64th Street gets a lot of traffic. So I would imagine that that's probably the reason why they had that protected bike lanes on that section.
Okay, well, it's possible that I've gone down it when it hasn't been busy. I've never traveled it during rush hour, but so I guess that's a problem.
Yeah, Eric, this is Tiffany from FDOT. I'm going to state this. I'm going to say if we can add the protection, I'd say let's do it. You know, if we have an opportunity to add protection even on facilities that we don't think, might have slower or less traffic, but we have the opportunity to add protection, might as well, because we're preventing that one time that somebody might, fall asleep at the wheel or veer over. So if we can add the protection, I'm going to encourage us to do it.
Yes, I agree. And the other thing is that many people are not comfortable riding on the road, even if they have bike lanes. Not everybody is as crazy or fearless as myself.
All right, any other questions or comments from anybody else?
I have a question.
All right, go ahead.
This is Mark Heineke from Miami-Dade Parks. I'm just curious, did you get any opposition on the protected bike lane that you did install?
As I mentioned before, the opposition we got was because of the impact to the existing trees and the canopies on 64th Street between 62nd and 69th Avenue.
But not in the area where you completed it.
No.
Okay, good.
We actually got a lot of good reports back from that portion of the protected bike lane from several residents, and specifically, the folks from SOMI and Max Cycle, which use that, ride the bike a lot in the area. So
Right. Are there plans to install more throughout the city?
at this point, the only project that we're working on right now is on is 64th Street with Miami-Dade County. We've already completed all the bike channels when we did the map and the plan with concurrent with Miami-Dade County to make sure that we had the connection to all the Miami-Dade County and FDOT roadways. So we completed all the bike channels in all the local South Miami roadways.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Thank you very much, Aurelio. And like I said, I came across the ribbon cutting flyer, and then when I saw that, I gave you a call and said, I'd love for you to come and present this at the BPAC, so thank you for agreeing to do that. We always like to have, whenever any of the cities or municipalities do any projects and effort to, come here and show everybody what they're doing. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Kevin. Absolutely. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda, first of all, we have a BPAC member, Mike Fleming, has just joined us. Thank you very much, Mike. Next item is going to be Department of Transportation Public Works update. And Yannick, you're going to be doing this, or is it going to be a combination of you and pros? I know there's the Venetian Causeway is like a combination project, right?
Yes. First of all, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is Yannick Fernandez. I'm representing the Department of Transportation and Public Works. I'm going to be talking about one project that is a combination of DTPW efforts and Parks and Recreation efforts, which is going to be the first project. I'm going to do the presentation. If there are any specific questions that pros will have to chime in, they'll just respond to those questions. So I'm guessing there you go. Thank you. The first project, like I said, is the Venetian Causeway bike lane project. This is a pilot project to implement armadillos or zebras, these features that you see on the right-hand corner, oval-like plastic separators. They have different names, but basically the reason for this project is to provide some type of protection or separation, physical separation and protection other than markings. As you know, the Venetian Causeway, mainly at the bridges, are excessively restricted because you don't have right of way, and you have a lot of needs to address on those bridges. You have a lot of cyclists that use the causeways, you have a lot of pedestrians that use the causeways, and definitely you have vehicles that go from City of Miami to Miami Beach. So the planning, the Department of Transportation planning department looked into this alternative to provide additional protection for the bike lanes. As you can see here, specifically in the sections, and that is mainly the bridges, the sections that have 12 full vehicle lanes, the proposed activities here are to make the vehicle lanes 11 foot wide, give that extra foot to the bike lane, and install on the edge, on the white line, install the zebras or armadillos. They're going to be installed every 9 feet from edge of one armadillo to the edge of the other armadillo. So that's going to be the available space you're going to have for in case a cyclist needs to get out of the bike lane, or basically for cyclists to get out of the bike lane. This project, the limits is the Venetian Causeway from the west end of the West Bridge all the way to Purdy Avenue. It's going to be constructed. It was initially divided into 2 phases, but we're working to put them out and construct them at the same time. The cost is $571,290, and the construction is supposed to begin in the summer of this year. The duration is going to be approximately 6 months. Basically, can you please move to the next slide? Okay, this is just another view of the Venetian, but basically it's the same thing. On the bridges where you have the 12-foot lanes, they're going to be reduced to 11 feet, and the 6 inches white line is going to be added. And on top of that, you're going to have the zebras. If the project is a very simple project in terms that you don't have any reconstruction, you don't have any drainage, is very simply just sign and permit marking and the installation of these features. If you have any, I think Eric, you had some questions that you had sent to us. Do you want to bring them up now?
Hello. Yes, I was just concerned that they might have a cyclist fall and therefore be a danger. Is there any history or of these being put in, and have they had any problems with that, of a cyclist hitting them and falling over?
Yes, like I said, this is a pilot project to try and see how these features are going to work along this corridor. Specifically as one of the only treatments that we could put here in order to physically separate the bike lane, because there is really nothing else that could, I mean, you already have the bike lanes painted in green continuously, which is something that not even the county does for all the roadways. In this specific case, PROS and City of Miami Beach paid for the continuous green paint. So the only other thing that could have been done for these bridges is this implementation in order to provide additional protection. Therefore, our planning section came up with this idea. They did communicate with other cities such as New York City, DC, and Houston, I believe, and no safety issues were raised at the time. So that we know of, there were no safety concerns with respect to the cyclists for these.
Yes, I think it would be great if people use the bike lane properly, i.e. that just only ride in the bike lane and pass if there's some obstruction. But this could be a problem for people that use the Pelotons and who are taking up not only the bike lane, but also the travel lane.
Well,
but we'll see how it goes.
Well, it's also what Eric has a good point. I mean about how people are using that bike lane. There's a lot of runners that are using the Venetian bike lane. When I've used it in the past, every time I've used it, I always have to go around runners that are not using the sidewalk, that are using the bike lane. I don't know how to fix that issue, but it makes it impossible for the cyclists to use the bike lane when runners are in it.
I understand, and this is actually an enforcement issue because, as you know, by law, when you have sidewalks, the pedestrians are supposed to use the sidewalk. Specifically in these bridges, we have nowhere else to go. So either they use the bike lane, or they use the sidewalk, or they use the lane. There is nowhere else to go. If there are runners using the bike lanes, that's an enforcement activity that needs to happen in order to avoid that, so the cyclists can use the bike lanes. But either for runners or for cyclists, whoever using the bike lane, this is serving as an additional protection for that space.
No, I'm excited to see it on the ground, Yannick. Oh, very excited.
Well, It's definitely not the ideal solution. As you know, there is a PD&E study for the rest of the bridges except for the West Bridge. And the PD&E has looked into widening the sidewalk, widening the bike lanes and all that. But I think that as a quick fix, as a fast solution, quick implementation, this is the only thing that we could be looking at, because placing delineators here would be, I think, even worse for both cyclists and vehicles. And you cannot put here concrete curbs. It doesn't fit. Nothing fits in here. It's a very constrained area. So, and this is why it's being implemented as a pilot project, to see how everyone behaves around it, and how the actual features, the zebra or cicla or armadillos behave on these type of conditions.
This is Eric. I have a suggestion. When this project is complete, I think you should have a meeting with motorists and cyclists and runners, and try to get everybody there and really stress how you have to be courteous of other road users. And in this case, it might be life-saving.
Why, in what sense, what is your concern on that regard, Eric?
No, I think when you roll out the project, it would
Okay.
be great if you could have a meeting where you have the drivers, the runners, and the cyclists all there, and you gotta stress that we all have to get along to be safe and to look out for other people.
But Eric, you know that only the people that care are going to be at the meetings. The people that are dangerous aren't going to be there.
Well, and this is actually a question for parts. Lynn, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Is this project going to have a public meeting or meeting with the association along Venetian Causeway prior to implementation?
I thought we had a meeting last time with the bicycle community and this commission, the commissioner, right? That was our meetings. I don't think we are, unless Joe won't mention anything, I don't think we are proposing any other meetings.
Yeah, I would agree, Lynn. I think this is definitely not to the effect of a formal community meeting, but this has definitely been shopped around. And like you said, Yannick, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? If there was a better solution, we would be shopping and pushing for it, additional to the full PD&E study that's ongoing right now for the rebuilding and replacement of these bridges. That's what I think we all have the same goal, to create a better and safer Venetian causeway. And this is one of the immediate steps that we can take, right, to make that happen. Yeah. With regards, and to answer your question directly, I think it was Mike that asked it. I'm sorry. To answer your question directly, are we going to have a community meeting before? I think we've done that very informally with a lot of stakeholder groups. And then after, I think that's a great point to get back to you as the BPAC with the formal kind of lesson learned from this implementation, because this will be, I believe, the first armadillo installation in the county. I think we did a little test, which went well and was well received. And then the next step is, does it work? Is it working? Do we want to keep them out there? Is it going well? Let's hear the input from the users. Point well taken, and absolutely.
Is the bike lane and sidewalk that I see in the diagram going to be the entire length of Venetian? I mean, I think it's awesome if it is.
It will. Well, I'll let Yannick answer.
That's fine. Yes, the project entails implementing these zebra armadillos all along Venetian from Harold Plaza to Purdy Avenue in Miami Beach.
Cool.
Of course, when you have areas where you have a right turn lane, where you have a bus stop, of course, along those sections, through the intersections, you're not going to have them. It's just when we know that you're not going to need to stop for whatever reason or cut through the bike lane.
Right, and I assume then, like everywhere else, the green will be striped in those areas.
Green, it was already an approach that was taken by pros and City of Miami Beach and the county throughout Venetian.
The green
it's already there.
Fine. I see it everywhere. What I'm saying is, as you indicated, the bus stops and things like that, when it gets to that, then instead of being solid green, it turns into a diagonal striped,
Yes.
barber pole green.
And that is already implemented. That was already considered when the green paint was completed. So the areas are already identified. You're not going to have anything that we know of. We are not having anything new there. The only new implementation is going to be this type of protection as a pilot project.
Okay. Something you should know, I just recently saw a fail video. If you know about those videos where they have people having accidents for whatever reason, and it was specifically a situation like this where there was a protected bike lane or a semi-protected bike lane with the little armadillos, and pedestrians were walking across the street and they were tripping over the armadillos, and some of them almost fell right in front of cars. I mean, it was incredible, but I hope it doesn't happen because I think it's a good thing.
Do you know where this was?
It's on YouTube with fails, and they just film people, having accidents. And this was specifically on a video of a pedestrian crosswalk on a protected bike lane. And as the pedestrians were walking across the street, they were tripping their toes on the armadillos that were sticking up, and they were just falling. And some of them were falling right in front of cars. I mean, The cars were going slow, and they stopped, but.
I think that was probably an early common sense comment, Mike, and you can see here that, Yannick has selected a pretty good example here at the bottom for East and West and Marino. There's a pretty big gap from, the pedestrian crossing and even where homes and other little intersections come out, plenty of room to make that turning radius. So hopefully Miami won't create the next YouTube videos out here. Hopefully our cyclists will feel safer that there's a physical barrier between, traffic and their wheels, right? Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think it's great.
Okay, great. Great to hear your feedback.
Yes, and I think it's good that these separators are a little bit not quite as high and as wide as the regular armadillos. I think the Zebra 90s, I think they're called, are a better design.
I think that's true of, that's a difference between the video that I saw and these. I think you're correct. The ones that I saw were bigger.
Yeah, it's interesting, Eric and Mike, that you bring those up, because I think that was an earlier revision that was thrown out. They're a little bit more boxy. They more resemble more of a parking bumper stop that I saw. What we started with, and now this is, the next revision. This is the one that they put out as like a little sample to put out to test and take pictures. So hopefully this goes well, right?
I'll try it.
I will too,
Well,
All right, if there are any other ones on the Venetian, and you can go on with the rest of your
I
presentation.
had a question for Yannick.
Go ahead,
How
Mark.
are these installed? Are they bolted in or are they glued?
Oh, I can
Yeah,
provide
they're
that
bolted
answer.
in.
Yeah, with a resin. They insert like a resin in the ground and then they bolt them in from the resin. So as long as they
Oh,
drill
okay.
a hole, put resin, and then they put that screw in, the bolt in. It's yeah, I've been in contact a lot with Zikla. Good. They're also completely sustainable products. They're from recycled materials.
No, that's good.
Mhm.
And they're pretty visible at night. You can see them okay at night.
With those stripes, you see the stripes that are there on the typical section?
Yeah.
That is meant for visibility.
Well, and actually, have you guys been out to Miami Beach to Meridian? They put in the I believe the larger versions of these, the Ziklas. They put in the zebras at a diagonal along the green bike lanes on Meridian, right by Lincoln Road.
Okay.
Is that supposed to offer more protection for the cyclists?
The diagonal version?
Yeah.
Yeah, what it allows is for a channelization so that you can channel out of the bike lane when you need to pass. But as far as vehicles getting in, it channels them away from getting into the bike lane, the diagonal.
Gotcha.
This application, we were not able to place them diagonally because there is no space.
Mhm.
If you place them diagonally, then you're going to be taking additional space either from the vehicle lane or the bike lane. So like I said, in an extremely constrained location such as this one, I think this is the best approach.
When I've talked to central office and also on Meridian Avenue, the ones that they installed on Meridian Avenue, at the entrance of the bike facilities, like at where they start, I guess, they put a tubular marker to add that vertical element, just like one tubular marker. Might be something to consider, Yannick, just at the entrance when it begins. To add a vertical element, so it's bringing awareness to the vehicles getting onto the facility to alert them that, hey, there's a separated bike facility.
That's something things to consider. I know that on the west side, I'll have to check the east side. On the west side, they begin at a buffer space, so it's not that close to the vehicle lane. You do have like a buffer space, but that's something that can be considered.
Yeah, and pretty easy to implement too. And it has about the same footprint. The tubular markers have about a 7-inch base, so it's not much difference than the 6.5.
Okay. I'll look into that. Okay, if no further questions, then Kevin, can you please move to the next slide? Thank you. This is another project that began as a pilot project. It was implemented by the county at Northeast 2nd Street and First Avenue. This is a sample of a Scramble Crosswalk. This is the intersection 1 block south of Miami-Dade College. The project was completed last year in December 2020. And the construction cost was pretty small, considering the cost for a typical intersection on roadway project. And this is because we utilize the existing equipment and just added additional features that were needed for the implementation of a Scramble Crosswalk. Basically, what was added was the diagonal pedestrian signals. So, and let me backtrack for a second. Scramble crosswalks are basically crosswalks where you have an exclusive pedestrian phase for pedestrians. In other words, you stop all traffic so that pedestrians can cross the intersection. But in addition to that, they can cross in either diagonally or perpendicular, right? So One further restriction that you have here is that you have to restrict right turning movements. In other words, no turn on red need to be implemented. So there is no confusion with the vehicle making a right turn and someone coming diagonally, etc. So basically the improvements that were done here was the implementation of the diagonal signals, replacing existing signals for the perpendicular crossings that were there, and adding the no turn on red signs, and those signs that you see there on the black post, those signs, small signs, were added, and the markings that you see on the road that kind of has a diagonal lines, and this was implemented also as a pilot project, and it's expected to stay as a permanent project at this location.
Yannick, can you send me this photo?
Sure, will do.
Yeah, because FDOT's and working with the county to implement the one on 8th and Brickell.
Okay.
How long does the light stay red in all directions to make this work?
That is going to depend on the volume of pedestrians that you have, the length of the crosswalk that you have, the length of the crossing pavement that you have. It's going to vary among all intersections, and that's something that I was going to just mention now that Tiffany brought up, the Brickell intersection. This location was selected because of the type of movements and volumes that you have here with respect to pedestrian volumes. Not all intersections are a good example for scramble crosswalks. You have to look at, like I said, pedestrian volumes, you have to see vehicle volumes, you have to see number of lanes on the road, whether you have exclusive lanes. It's several, the crossing distance definitely is a major point. So it's different things. It's not like, oh, this is great, let's do them everywhere. This doesn't really work well everywhere. This specific location, I think it was well identified, and hopefully we will continue, the county will continue to identify further locations for scramble crosswalks. But this is our starting point here. To answer your question, like I said, it's going to vary depending on the conditions that you have.
This is Eric. Do they have no right on red signs? I can see that could be a problem.
I see it in the picture.
They have no turn on red.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a requirement to implement no turn on red restrictions for scramble crosswalks. This is these roads are a one-way, Eric, in each direction. They're one ways, so they're not as complex as a two-way road, you know, intersecting another two-way road. So I think it was a good pilot location for a scramble crosswalk.
Is there a reason why the crosswalk doesn't go all the way across the pavement?
This is a way that the MUTCD shows markings for a scramble crosswalk.
It looks
If
kind
in
of,
the future,
unfinished.
I'm sorry.
It looks kind of unfinished.
Yeah, I mean, if in the future they approve other type of markings, we will more than gladly add them, because markings are a pretty economic implementation. But this is so far what the MUTCD has identified for them.
And it does get, I just have to say, it does get a little bit complicated when we have the textured crossings on the four corners. I mean, it doesn't get complicated, but we're mixing concepts here. So when we see this again, that's why FDOT doesn't typically do the pattern pavement as our crosswalks. We do the high emphasis or the traditional white lines. But when you have these, and then you're showing something else going diagonal, it's kind of mixing, I guess, messaging a little bit here. So this is a good site because it's really showing, are we capable of doing it where we have these patterned pavement crosswalks?
There's no restriction. When we did the research, we found no restriction to them. And as a matter of fact, we totally agree with what you're saying. The county does not provide pavers on the county roads unless the city pays for them and agrees to maintain them. And the reason, number one reason is not even this. Number one reason is because they break constantly and we're not able to maintain them.
We're the same way. The state's the same way.
This I'm 100% sure was installed by the city at some point. And as you can see on the east leg, that crossing was recently modified. I'm sure they noticed that the pavers were not working there. And it was modified by asphalt. And eventually it will, I'm assuming they will be removed. If you have already one leg that's partially removed.
Is that the stamped asphalt?
That could be stamped asphalt or maybe pavers.
These ones look like, this to me looks like brick pavers, how deep the indentations are. Usually after you ride over them and they're pressed, it usually just gets worn down. But this looks like it's deep.
They're uneven, so they're individual bricks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty hard to walk on them with heels, with high heels. It's pretty hard. So
I wouldn't know, Yannick. I wouldn't know.
I had a hard time with that the other day myself.
Have you received positive feedback from the college on the Scramble?
I'm sorry, Mark, what was the
question? Have you received positive feedback from the college on the Scramble?
I'll have to check with the project manager to see what type of feedback we have received. Remember that this was implemented last year. It was a pretty odd year.
Oh yeah, with COVID.
The schools were closed.
Right.
The church was closed. So I'm not sure how much we got for last year and for the beginnings of this year. But eventually, once everything comes back to normal, I guess, or as close as to normal as possible, we'll start getting additional feedback.
And Yannick, I've got one more question because I haven't been out to this site. Is this an audible? Is this an APS? Is this an audible signal?
No, this one is not.
Okay.
That I'm aware of, this is not an audible signal.
Okay.
And there is not, at least when we did the research, there's no requirement for with respect to scramble crosswalks for having audible or not. It depends on the needs for that location.
Oh, absolutely. I just wanted, it would be interesting to have a site that has the APS technology that's also Scramble, so we could see how that functions for our visually impaired. That's then going forward, we can think about piloting one of those.
Yeah, actually, when we did the research, that is one of the points that people are concerned about, because it's kind of hard for someone who's visually impaired to measure the distance that he has left, to know exactly, and the message will be too long of a message. What type of message you'll tell them? So,
and a lot of times the visually impaired will actually take cues from the direction the vehicles are going. So if all vehicles are stopped, it might cause some confusion.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. So it could benefit from some braille below the Scramble symbol that could say Scramble Light, something like that. A braille below that little icon on the pole itself could be something to help let someone know that they're at that situation. I don't know what the MUTCD says about it, but I could ask central office, our ADA central office contact about that.
Yeah, in that case, if that's ever a request on our side, I will make sure that the intersection is very small, because when you have long intersections and you have your diagonal pavement to cross, which is even longer, how do they estimate? How do you even design for that when you would need such a long time and expect that the visually impaired individual is on track? He's not walking in one direction or maybe the other and then getting lost. So yeah,
This is
that's
sort of why I asked the question about how long does the light stay red
Well,
in all directions?
technically they have to create the timing actually has to time up with how much time is necessary to cross the diagonal. So it always has to be extended, and it's like a certain number of seconds per foot or something like that, or a certain number of seconds per. So that's what you do, and that's why you have to extend the time. But if you had, and this is why I don't know about the markings as they are. If this is a MUTC says, I can't disagree with that. I'm going to find out more because we're pursuing ours, the one on 8th and Brickell. But if it's the high emphasis markings, those actually should be able to be felt with the white cane. So if somebody were to be crossing diagonally, the intention is that they should be feeling that slightly elevated white crossing, so that they can help navigate across that. And hopefully we keep it in good repair so that those using the white cane can continue to feel that surface.
That's a very good point.
Wow.
Actually, all throughout the county, the state, there have been implementations of markings that are like pianos and peaches and this and the other and all sort of colors through the intersection, but those are not actually approved by the MUTC. So.
Exactly, and that confuses those that are, that are trying to navigate the corridor and they're visually impaired and using a white cane. That might send an unclear message.
Yeah, totally agree.
Hey, for everybody, the standard is 2 miles an hour or 3 feet per second.
Thank you.
Of
Thank
how
you.
much time people have to cross a street like this.
Thank you. I thought you would know, Eric.
If there's no further questions, Kevin, can you please?
Yeah, let's go to the next one.
Go to the next one. Yes, that's. The next one, I'm pretty sure Eric is going to be very excited to look at it. All color on 67th Court, actually, the roundabout. In here, the all color trail that connects to the 136th Street Trail. You can see it on the south side, and the crossing is being done through the south side all the way to All Color Trail.
Okay,
Go ahead, Mike. I think it was Mike.
The bike trail, I see the old Cutler Trail. That's good. Now I see the trail on the opposite side. That's because now that's very important because the bike trail swaps sides at the very next intersection. It goes from being on the right to being on the left.
Correct.
And so is this indicating there's a sidewalk or a trail on the other side of the road too? It doesn't look like...
What you have there on the north side is a regular sidewalk.
Okay.
Let me break in here. On the other side, right now, there is just a single 5-foot straight sidewalk.
Right.
What was drawn there is artist rendering, if you will. And in fact, what I suggested is to double the sidewalk on the north side, make it 10 feet wide to provide a little extra room. Because if you're coming from the west, if you look on the left side of the drawing, you can see that there's a path symbols there. That's the new path that is going to be built starting this summer on the south side of 136th Street. So in the case of people that need to cross from the south side of 136th Street to the Old Cutler Path, it is much better to take the north side, which only requires 6 lane crossings, whereas if you were to go to the old Cutler path, it would take 12 lane crossings. I detailed this in my email. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll definitely send your comments, Eric, to the project manager and the consultant. However, just by looking at this, the right-of-way line on the north side of the circle, I wish I could have access to the screen, but I don't. On the north side of 136, there you go. On the north side of the circle, the right-of-way is right there on the back of sidewalk. So there's no space to widen the path on that side. That is the issue there. I'll definitely send it to them. I'll send your comments to them, but that's one pinch point I see.
Yeah,
there.
if I'm reading this correctly, you've got a 2-way bicycle pedestrian path of some sort on the south side of 136th Street, Howard Drive. Yeah, right there. And if you're coming from the west and you want to keep going the basically east and northbound bike path, the smart thing to do would be to cross Howard Drive right there and get on that sidewalk and follow the sidewalk that's on the north side, because that's what's going to hook you into the bike path continuing on, because that's where it crosses Old Cutler. It would be stupid to cross all the way over to the south side and then have to cross to the north side again.
Correct. The issue with that is that the right of way width at that location. However, I will send it. I will send it to the consultant to see whether they can analyze some other type of solution, but basically
at least indicate that bicycles are allowed to do that.
Well, they are allowed to use the sidewalk. It's just that they have to yield to behave as a pedestrian, in other words.
Right.
They're allowed.
It's not that big a distance, but it is a big safety issue.
Yannick, I see the one pinch point on the back, but you've got some space on the front. I know you would definitely have that pinch point there, like as you're going around the roundabout. But would it be an opportunity to widen it out the rest? You just almost have like, people would have to, go be careful in that one section, and then they'd be free again, kind of, to widen it out. I mean, I'm just spitting out an idea.
You have room east of the traffic circle.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to be careful with that, because then I don't want to give the false expectation to the cyclist that you have a path through there, and then you get to the circle in an area where you have the roundabout right there, the circulatory road right there, and everybody coming together at the same time. So
I think what you'd have to do is that you have to provide signage that would say,
have a path narrows sign.
Path narrows, and then yield to pedestrians.
Yeah, but in reality, your reaction time and that space to that restriction there is so short that I'll be concerned with that.
Yeah.
I'll be concerned with having a maybe a bit of a wider sidewalk, maybe, I don't know, but like a full-blown path all the way to that constrained area.
You could tighten a turn to force people to slow down. Almost like on either side of the pinch point, you could add like a little kink to force people to slow down. I mean, it's just a traffic calming thing for cyclists. Almost like an elbow, like you do with an elbow in this corner. That type of elbow feature that automatically forces the cyclist to slow down to the point of a pedestrian. Not ideal for a cyclist by any means. But anytime you have like a turn like that forces cyclists to slow down.
Remember that the traffic light to the east is just beyond this diagram.
Correct. which I'm going to show you now.
We're not talking
Fine.
much of a distance.
It didn't fit. It didn't fit on the on the screen. That is the next roundabout, which is it's being transformed as well. The traffic light is being transformed into a roundabout. And in here you have the path on the south side. Remember that it was coming on the south side from the previous roundabout. And then you continue and you cross through the south side, and then you cross all the way on the east leg to the north side. That's the way this is designed. You still have the sidewalk on the north side, but it's not a path. It's just a regular sidewalk.
Wow.
When I saw this design, I was super frustrated, because I understand, I wanted the same thing, and it makes sense to keep the path and the connection on the north side. And I have been working with them, and definitely, Eric, I'll send your email. It's going to be another level of request from this committee to try to reevaluate something there. However, just keep in mind that these are constrained areas, and I know that specifically on this roundabout, you have a protected area that they're not able to get into as well. So there are several things that they have to handle as part of these two circles. But so far, I just wanted to bring you the design and try to obtain your comments as soon as possible, and so I can let them know what type of comments I'm receiving from this committee.
Yannick, have there been any community meetings on this project?
There will be community meetings. I don't think they have happened yet.
Okay.
I have to find out exactly, but I don't think they have happened.
This is going to be 2 traffic circles about 20 yards apart from each other. This is just going to be a nightmare.
Actually, it's 450 feet.
Is it? Is it that far? Wow. It doesn't seem like it.
Well, it's traffic circles though do show to slow vehicles down, and 450 feet is a good distance to maintain that slow traffic. So
You're right.
I'm looking forward to seeing its implementation and hopefully an evaluation of how it's impacting traffic speeds.
Yeah, one of my suggestions for the other circle was to make it rounder and less elliptical. That might get you the 5 feet that you need on the north side.
Kevin, can you go back for a second?
Actually, Lisa's in control of that, but go ahead back, Lisa.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lisa.
No
I'm
problem.
sorry.
And Yannick, just so I know, because I'm looking at the clock, how many more slides do you have after this one? Do you know?
Just that. I'm
Okay.
done here.
All right, go back. There we go.
Yes, Eric, that is a good suggestion, but just keep in mind that they have to meet certain deflections for the roundabouts in order to reduce the speed, which is the #1 point that they have to address through a roundabout. They cannot allow high speeds through here. So if they're not able to achieve the deflection, then this roundabout doesn't work. I'll definitely pass on your comments to them, and I'll let you know what type of responses I get.
Well, there are some things you can do without widening the path at that pinch point. You can first widen the path other places further to the east, but just making a triangle at the corner there so you don't have to make a 90-degree bend would make all the difference. So I'll take a 5-foot sidewalk if I can navigate along it with a bike.
That is one thing that I told them to do. Don't do on the sidewalks those 90-degree junctions. do a chamfer in case someone wanted to turn with a bicycle.
Yeah, it's a relatively cheap and easy thing to do, and I would hope that the sidewalk plans would follow that.
Yeah, and also like you get a lot of, I mean, erosion a lot of times in those tight corners, which can create a small little drop off for wheelchair users too, and also cyclists. So it's a smart thing to put it like a little wedge.
We're not West Point cadets.
Yannick, what are the plans for the center of the traffic islands?
I'll have to look.
Landscaping?
I'm sure they have some sort of landscaping for that, but just keep in mind that it's not going to be anything fancy. There's not supposed to have, these type of circles are not supposed to have huge trees or anything that will impact visibility. So you're not going to have anything like the Coco Plum Circle or anything like that.
A giant sculpture.
Yeah, that's not allowed.
Right.
Probably like some low-growing shrubs or something like that.
That I'll get back to you. I didn't focus on the landscaping plans if they have them ready yet, because all I wanted to show you for now was the basically the alignment. But it is standard for county projects. Any landscaping will have to be maintained by the city. So if the city is not willing to maintain any specific landscaping, it's just going to be a grassed area. It's not going to have anything in particular.
This is all Palmetto Bay.
This is from Pinecrest.
Pinecrest. Pinecrest, yeah.
No, actually, this is the border between Palmetto Bay on the south and Pinecrest on the
That's on the north.
Correct.
And what I suggested was you should plant a few pine trees and saw palmettos. So you would have both cities' names in the landscaping and make it a small pine rockland. That would have both cities' names in it, and you could have a little tablet on the side by the path explaining the botanics. Thank you.
The comments by Eric Thalberg are no way represent HGTV.
I've got one more and then I'm done, I promise. But the crossings here, I see no type of signalization, no RFB. Is there anything because I see a pedestrian crossing sign and I see the traditional yield signs for the getting into the roundabout, but I don't see maybe a stop here for pedestrians or stop for pedestrians, yield for pedestrians.
Yes, that is something that I have to request the consultant as well.
And especially the one that has the 2 lanes, that one could get complicated because 2 people whipping around that and coming. Might need something to make that a little bit more pronounced. Even, I'm going to say this, I don't know if it's maybe something to look into, but maybe something like flashing in pavement type of something to make it more visible for those cars coming around that traffic circle.
Yeah, I'll send those comments to the consultant and check with them. I don't think I don't remember seeing any signalization plans. I don't think they're at that point yet, but I'll definitely definitely pass it on to them.
Great, thank you.
Another thing that is critical is that the refuges have to be at least 6 foot wide, so you can stop a bicycle in the middle if you can't cross all 4 lanes at once.
The what, Eric?
The refuges, the
islands,
place in the center, they need to be at least 6 foot wide, so that you can stop a bicycle in them and not have to cross all 4 lanes at one time.
At one time,
Might be impossible.
Yeah, good point.
I have a question about, it looks like a long driveway. Is that because the original driveway was cut off by the traffic circle?
Yes, correct. That's on the previous, let me see, that's on the, hold on. Yeah, that one, that roundabout on 67th Court. Yes, correct. That's correct, Mark.
Okay.
They had to, you cannot have driveways into a roundabout, so they had to move it to outside the circulatory road.
Is that Muhammad Ali's old house?
I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. It's right there somewhere.
And would the actual trail or the path go across the driveway like it's shown, or would the driveway go across the path?
That's a chicken and egg question.
It's gonna be exactly the way you see it.
That'd be the preferred route.
The path cuts through the driveway.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to see.
Just like for every single driveway that you have there along all Cutler.
Yeah.
What is, do you have any specific request on that, Mark?
No, I just was curious. I would
Yeah.
think the driveway would have preference, but
As long as
No,
we're
not at all.
as long as we're talking about the bike path on Old Cutler, I do want to throw this out there. Is any progress being made on, especially in Palmetto Bay, reminding them that they're not supposed to use golf carts driving up and down the bike path? I mean, it's horrible now. They just use it like a road for golf carts, and it's really hazardous, big time. And it's even going all the way to the bike path on 87th
yeah, it
Avenue.
goes to Black Point Park and Marina.
Exactly. They run the golf carts up and down there. They're gonna kill people. And it's I even saw a girl the other day going along at high speed, looking at her phone while she's driving a golf cart on the bike path, and she was going right at a family with children on bikes and everything else. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know what was going to happen, but anyway.
Mike, that could be a conversation that could last another hour. So
I understand. I totally get it. I just want to throw it out there because it's a reality that's got to stop somehow.
Gonna be enforcement, Mike. Yeah.
I know. In fact, I saw a cop in uniform in his own personal golf cart, not marked, driving on the bike path.
I personally, Mike, have brought this up with the Palmetto Bay leadership, and they referenced, they have a lot of conflicts within the villages now with the golf cart rules and regulations that Cutler Bay has put out are in direct conflict of several things, not limited to, but including Palmetto Bay's golf cart regulations. So there's a lot of just people think they're allowed to, and they shouldn't, and enforcement is a lot. Like Kevin says, this could be another couple-hour conversation.
I know. It's just important. That's all.
Mike, if you could please send me an email with your concerns on that, so we have it on record.
Okay.
Good point, Yannick. Yeah, thank you.
I would suggest we should address this next meeting. I have all the information on it, and I would be happy to share. What I'm concerned about is that the county will agree to Palmetto Bay's request to allow golf carts on Old Cutler.
They can't.
Well, let's talk about it next meeting.
All right.
All right. Well, we'll see if it can be. We'll see if it can be an agenda item, and I'll let you know.
One more
right, so
thing
go
on
ahead.
this.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry, one more thing, and then I'm done. Now I'm done. I promise. Okay, the driveway. Speaking of the driveway, I think I'm not sure what the landscaping here is, but if this car is coming around the driveway pretty fast and they can't see the cyclist going, I guess, westbound, I don't know the orientation on this, but if they're going westbound on the trail, I'm thinking it's westbound if north is up, then they're going to, no, on the trail, on the bottom trail,
The
not the
south side.
sidewalk. Yeah, so if they're going westbound, not eastbound, past the driveway, like if they're crossing the driveway, that little, yeah, that thing. Yep. And if they're coming from the other side, go to the other side. Nope, I'm talking about along the trail. They're coming this way. Yeah, if they're coming this way fast and the car's swinging around this way fast, I'm afraid they're not going to be able to see them with this landscaping that might be behind this, this icon here that it says existing sign to be removed. Is that trees behind that?
Yeah, those should be trees. However, I will send those comments. They have to make sure that there's enough visibility to the
Right.
sidewalk on the path. I will bring that up with them.
That's it.
Okay.
You might want to install a look sign.
Right to the next slide, Lisa.
Those are the projects that DTPW has right now. Any questions, feel free to contact me. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, I commented on all 39 projects. You have my email. If anything comes up, let me know.
Will do. I already started forwarding them to the corresponding project managers. As soon as I get a response from them, I'll send them your way.
Yes, I'm particularly interested in when the path on 136th Street is going to start. I had heard it was going to be in March and then later. Now it's supposedly in the summer, but whenever it's going to start, please let me know.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Yannick. Tiffany, you're up.
I'll turn my camera on so you can all see my face. All right. Okay. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany Gerke. Many of you already know me. I'm the Bike and Pedestrian and ADA Coordinator for FDOT District 6. And I'll be presenting on the plans reviewed over the past month with respect to all of the plans that go through the ERC review process that have come across my desk and my consultants. When I get them, and a lot of times I'll distribute the work a little bit. But these projects range from safety projects to LAP projects, which are the local agency program projects, which means that they're local projects, but they're funded through either, most of the time it's federal dollars that we kind of oversee. So that's what you're seeing when it says LAP. Sometimes it is state funding that we happen to oversee. It still will say LAP. So the first one you see is the Overtown Greenway. This is the segment between Northwest 3rd Avenue and Northwest 7th Avenue. The bike lane, the 4 to 5 foot bike lane is there. And Eric has advised me that it was already there, and I could probably look over at my bike network and confirm that. But they are widening the sidewalk so that it will widen all the way up to 25 feet in certain segments. They're widening it kind of based on what they have available, where they can really widen it. Now there is a pinch point that's 6 foot, but they are widening it to as much as 25 foot where they can. And they are also upgrading the crosswalks and the curb ramps. So a lot of good improvements there. And then the next project, that is a resurfacing project. This one is, this one's in scoping. So when it says scoping, this is the earliest phase. I love it when I get projects through scoping because that means maybe I have some opportunity to add some additional things. So this project is, this is from south of Southwest 232nd Street to south of Southwest 111th Avenue. And I've been kind of pushing and pushing and pushing. I keep mentioning the importance of 211th Street intersection. I'm very excited that when I made the comment that we need to incorporate a protected intersection concept at this intersection, that they said we will look into it. So I'm very excited because that's kind of the juxtaposition of where the Black Creek Trail and the protected bike lanes on 211th combined with the South Dade Trail and also the trail that's coming in that PROS is overseeing. So many vital things are happening at 211th. So if we could do a protected intersection, I'm going to continue to fight for that. And then the underline, the plans for this, just to let everyone know, the plans for this were for the plaza areas. So it's this wasn't necessarily the review period that included the amenities, or well, I guess some amenities, but didn't really include the details on the plan of the trail itself, but was more talking about the plaza areas and what type of conditions are going to be there, like concrete plaza, or they're going to have the capstone boulders or the gravel areas, the compact lime rock, drainage areas. So that's what these plans specifically were for. And then the next one is another scoping report. And this is from south of Southwest 264th Street to south of Southwest 232nd Street. Again, I know that DTPW has a couple projects coming up with 264th and 137th. So I've asked for them to coordinate with DTPW so that the bike infrastructure that's going through those intersections are accommodated through our intersections. So hopefully we'll see some coordination between project manager of this project and the project manager within DTPW of those projects. And then, yeah.
216th Street is under construction now, and that's having bike lanes from 112th Avenue to 127th Avenue. So it'll go through that northern portion.
Okay, the other one, item number 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I'll make sure to add that too. I'll reach out to Calvin and let him know to incorporate that as well. Okay, and then the North Bay Village, this is just a this is Treasure Island ADA improvements. Now, what they're doing here is they're repairing and updating curb ramps to ADA compliance, North Bay Village on Treasure Drive, Bounty Ave, Adventure Ave, Mutiny Ave, and Galleon Street. And so they're upgrading the existing crosswalks with the APS, which is the audible, it's the accessible pedestrian signal on JFK Causeway. So a lot of ADA improvements. Okay, and the last one on this page is the Northwest 87th Avenue northbound and southbound over I-75 bridge. And this is just bridge repair. We'll go to the next slide. So no improvements on our behalf on that, unfortunately. And then the town of Medley, this is the sidewalk master plan. Now, no details were provided in this at this point because this is just the request for qualifications review. We just make sure that they're following our process when they're requesting for qualifications. So North Bay Village, this is the Baywalk Plaza area. I'll show you images in a little bit. And then I have the next one is the city of Miami, the Miami River Greenway, Curtis Park East. It's going to have the 10-foot concrete sidewalks on the south side of Northwest North River Drive. And it's going to connect to the park to both the east and the west. And then it's going to have 5 to 7.5 foot sidewalks north of Northwest North River Drive and 13-foot sidewalks on the west side of Northwest 24th Ave and 10-foot minimum sidewalks east of the Curtis Park and west of Miami River. But I'll show you that in the images later. I know I've got an image later coming on. And then the next one is just a resurfacing of the ramp here, the ramps here, and which does not impact bike or pedestrian infrastructure facilities. And this one is that same bridge, the Tamiami project that all of you are aware of, presented multiple times on that wetland restoration project. And then this one is State Road 934. northeast, northwest 81st, 82nd Street from west of I-95 to the end of State Road 934. This project has a segment that has a buffered bike lane, but then it goes to Sherrill's. This, I wanted to, I put this here so that you're all aware. This project went through PD&E, so we can go to the next slide because the other piece did go through a project development environmental with a lot of public engagement. And these were the agreed upon typical sections. This was the preferred alternative for this corridor to have this typical section for both the number 12 and number 13. So what you're seeing here, the 5.5 foot to 10 foot side.
Uh-oh. I think Tiffany just froze up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze up and okay. At least
Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, your camera's frozen,
Okay.
but you're talking, so keep going.
Okay. So I'll just keep talking, I guess. But yeah, number 12 and number 13, those resulted from the project development environmental process. And then Traffic Ops has a project. They're doing, this is just traffic control plans. It's not this is to supplement another project. So these were just traffic control plans that came through the office for number 14. Number 15, that's the bus on shoulder. That's that Julia Tuttle. We've looked at that quite a few times. This is going to eliminate the bike lanes on the outside shoulder. And then it will in the next couple of years, we're going to have the first part is going to eliminate the bike lanes on the outside shoulder, and they're going to move the bus on the inside shoulder. And then it will free up the outside shoulders again, but we'll have to reapply to have that used for bike facilities again. So that is up in the air of whether we can get that done. Then number 16 is the Northeast 6th Avenue from south of Northeast 123rd Street to north of Northeast 145th Street. This is going to have, again, 6-foot sidewalks, 11-foot lanes. They are putting sharrows in there, and it's going to have some high emphasis crosswalks, updated curb ramps, lighting, landscaping, and sidewalk repair. This is a resurfacing project, so it's what we call a triple R project, which the intention of that is to maintain the pavement conditions. We'll go to the next slide. Okay, so you can see here the Overtown Greenway, what they're doing, what the city of Miami is doing. You can see how it's widening out that sidewalk to a much wider area. And then you can also see the bike lane there. And you can kind of see the typicals too on the side. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. And then these are the type of plans that were reviewed for the underline. Again, showing the different surfaces that will be involved. You can see the trash receptacles. They did include the trash receptacles as well as the hydration stations, the bike pumps, and the surfaces themselves. This, I believe, is the site by Simpson Park.
Yes, one thing that's critical is whenever you have a water fountain, you've got to have a bike rack or something to lean your bikes against.
No, I've been pushing with that with Irene. I actually said any time that we have spaces for gathering, if you have seating, like we really, I mean, I've been pushing this, but ultimately I've got to say this is not my decision. But I have made that comment. I actually had a meeting that I attended that I made that comment multiple times that they need to have bike racks to accommodate the people that will be attracted to those spaces. So I will continue to make that comment, but ultimately it's not my decision for this project.
Yes, and did you get the 100% drawings? I got them from Mark.
They're supposed to be uploading them soon for our review. So hopefully I will get those soon.
Mark, could you help her out there?
Yeah, they're uploaded. They're there.
Oh, they are in ERC?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then I thought I saw an email come through fairly recently that said that they should be up soon, but I wasn't able to check and see, but I will look. All right, next slide. And then this is the North Bay Village Baywalk Plaza area. Very interesting. It'll allow people to get down to the water and observe and walk along there. I do notice the same observation that based on this image here, that the stairs themselves could be will be an obstacle to wheelchair users. So I'm going to look at the comments my ADA consultant made on behalf of the wheelchair access. Might have a separate meeting with them to discuss potential ways for us to accommodate wheelchairs in this area, because I think everyone should be able to access that area as well. And perhaps there's something I'm not seeing here, but based on what I've reviewed, I don't see wheelchair access. So that is something I'm going to be looking into.
Yes, it's not only wheelchairs, but also personal mobility scooters,
True, and some
strollers
bikes
for
as well.
babies,
Yeah.
bicycles. There's all kinds of people that go on wheels. So
Exactly.
it's not just ADA; it's for everybody else as well.
Absolutely. I always tell people that if we're making ADA improvements, we're making improvements for a lot more people than just ADA. So
Wide enough for there to be a ramp next to the stairs?
I'm going to look at, again, I'm going to look at the comments that a consultant of mine made on behalf of this project. He usually makes about 100. He can make up to 100 comments for some of these projects. So I kind of feel bad for but he really goes in detail. So I'm going to look over what his recommendations were to accommodate wheelchairs, but I'm going to look over those. And if he for some reason didn't, I'll make sure that I have a meeting with them separately or send an email. All right, go to the next slide, please. All right, and this is the Miami River Greenway, Curtis Park East. The big black areas, that's the trail itself. So sorry, the image is I wanted to show you more of the layout more than anything. So this is Curtis Park, and you can kind of see the path going around it. And then you can kind of see how it, connects and then goes around it again. So,
but the important thing, it's not continuous, at least from what I can see.
I believe it is, but I think the image is cutting it. So I will send you, I'm going to send you the plans themselves. That's better image. So you can take a look, Eric. But I believe that it is continuous. But I'm going to send you the plans. And this is the another City of Miami project. If only Colin was here.
Or Brett.
Or Brett, yeah. Oh, that's true, Brett. This is his baby. He probably would be able to tell you everything about it. All right, next slide.
Are there bike lanes that tie into it?
We might, I believe so, but I'll have to confirm that. I can't remember right off the top of my head. It's been a week and a half since I made this presentation. I'll have to look back and recall if the bike lanes were a part of this project.
Typically, the Miami River Greenway does not use bike lanes. They're pedestrian path primarily. I don't think there are any bike lanes in the area.
I believe there was one segment of it that did include, or maybe it was in an application, it included the bike lanes as well as the trail itself. So I'll have to look just to confirm that the bike lanes, that marked bike facilities were not included within the limits of this project. But Eric's technically right. The bulk of the Miami River Greenway is to provide the actual shared use path. But like I said, I do believe in one of the projects they at least applied for TA funding included a segment of on-road bike facility as well as a shared use path. But I'll confirm that. Okay.
Are they connecting the east half to the west half? I can't really tell.
So So this is one segment of a much greater whole. And that's again where, if I could share my, the bike network plan, because I have it, I have it up, but I won't be able to share my screen. But you can see how they've segmented little, like one piece and then another piece, but eventually its intention is to connect all the way to downtown. That's the intention of the Miami River Greenways, to connect actually all the way from downtown all the way up north along Okeechobee. That's the intention of the Miami River Greenway going.
Well,
into
it looks
future.
like on the image on the screen, there's a gap, or looks like the east half is not connecting to the west half.
I know, I think the image portrays that, but I believe that it does still, I think it's supposed to connect. I'm gonna send the plans and I'm gonna confirm that. But I'm thinking maybe it's just the picture quality here. But we'll go to the next slide and I'll confirm that. And these are the typical sections. Well, a couple of the typical sections for that 81st, 82nd Street. Again, this is what resulted from a project development environmental, rich with lots of community engagement, where the ultimate ask was to have the parking in lieu of a separated bike, in lieu of a bike facility. They wanted the parking. Not again what I would like to see resulting, but that's the project development environmental process, to have public engagement be that ultimate determination of the facility that we provide.
Yeah, I pointed out that a one-way bicycle facility is not very useful unless there is another one on another road, and there isn't. In this case, I would prefer that space for the bike lane be put into the sidewalks and make a slower but safer bicycle pedestrian facility.
I'll have to reach out, but this very typical may have been the result of the process, which means that we don't have much flexibility. But I'll reach out to the project manager to confirm that. I hear what you're saying, and I can't disagree. Next slide. And then this is that 79th, which is right next to the 81st, and this is what's being provided there. Again, after the PD&A process took place. All right, and I believe that's the last slide, except for the ongoing bike ped efforts. I encourage you, I'll send it to Kevin again. We have made some updates based on my review. I've been really in-depth reviewing corridor by corridor in a lot of the segments, especially with respect to the trails and the alignment of those trails, just to see, just kind of looking at the Google Earth kind of map of what's existing and what's potentially an opportunity. So there have been some alterations, just minor, to the bike network plan that you may have seen previously. So that same link that we provided previously still works. So feel free to use the same link. And soon, very soon, I expect there's going to be an FDOT project, or FDOT mobility, I guess, non-motorized mobility webpage that will actually show the ongoing planning efforts that are being taken place by my office with respect to bike and ped. And it will also have a link to the bike network plan, where you can actually pull it up and make comments actively, and let us know if there's an alignment you disagree with, or if there is a facility that's actually there that isn't marked, or one that's upcoming that isn't marked as such. So that will be, but you can do that now with the link that we provided previously, and I'll provide it again. Feel free to do that, but soon we'll have that on a web page that anybody will be able to access, not just the BPAC members. But I'm excited to see it progressing along, and I'm glad to see those alterations made, because now I feel more confident in in sending out the materials to our agency partners. So hopefully we'll start progressing further with those packets. All right.
Two things. First, is there a deadline on us providing comments on the bicycle network? And
No.
second, is there if there's a link, please send it to Mr.
Yes,
Walford,
I'll
and he'll
send
send
it.
it to all of us.
Yes, I'll send the link to Kevin. And actually, no, there is no deadline for because this is going to be a living document. So the only time I guess there's a deadline per se is when we're actually starting to program projects, I guess, or when we're looking into the public outreach for a corridor. That's when we're going to need deadlines, but this is an ongoing live bike network plan. So as you see things, as you experience more conditions, throughout the county, you can let us know, hey, I'm seeing a lot of potential use in this section. We should probably accommodate here. And I'm definitely willing to take that type of comment and make sure that that's reflected in the plan.
This will be a forum as well as an information.
Yeah, it'll be a piece where people can actually say, this is a vital connection. This is a point that we should be connecting to.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. So
I think we've discussed it before. Is there any discussion or plan to connect the end of the Old Cutler bike path with the Black Creek Trail, that little missing section by the bridge?
So I don't know about when you say plan, I don't know if it's anything programmed, but in the bike network plan, I'm sure we have accommodated that segment, but my computer's lagging a bit.
I don't know if Yannick is still on the call or not, but I believe DTPW is going to be replacing that bridge. And as part of that project, they'll be making that gap connection.
Perfect.
Okay. And actually the good news about this bike network plan too, is you'll actually be able to see little dotted lines of all the upcoming program projects and the solid lines of all of the existing. So you can see how everything pieces together. And also it's helpful for me because how I've been able to make really good comments, I've actually been able to use this and make good comments on the upcoming resurfacing projects because I can see how those interact with the upcoming and existing bike network. So I could say, for instance, I already knew about 211th, but I could say about the other projects coming up that DTPW are doing that, hey, we need to make sure that coordination is taking place because now I have it all in one place.
Mark, which bridge were you talking about?
The Old Cutler Road, where I think the one that's just before, or the one that crosses Black Creek Canal. There's a gap there.
There's a little tiny gap, little tiny. It's like at the very bottom. It's like
right. The Old Cutler Road,
700 feet.
Bike path ends, and then there's this gap, and then there's the bridge, and then there's the Black Creek Trail.
Just a tiny. I wish I could share my screen because I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
It almost like the Old Cutler Trail comes like this and then starts just right before it starts to loop to connect to the Black Creek Trail. That's just the bottom section is missing.
It's because of the bridge,
This is Eric. I've done a lot of research on this. Actually, this was part of the Building Better Communities Bond for the Old Cutler Path. It was supposed to be extended from 224th Street up to 220th Street. But the money was never spent, and I don't know whether it was spent on some other project, maybe 216th Street or something else. But there should be money in the Building Better Community Bond fund to do that project. It's 700 feet, and it only requires a little bit of a pass.
I'm going to say something about the bike network plan too that I absolutely love is that it can actually show us those little tiny projects that are maybe very that could make a big bang for our buck, like the one mentioned here.
Yep.
that maybe if we don't have a big budget available, that have a much smaller budget available, we can actually do within a smaller budget and still make a big impact. It also shows the really long corridors that, you know, if we have more budget available, that we can really make some progress on expanding our network. So lots of opportunity here. I'm really excited about it. I hope everybody else is equally excited about it.
Well, one thing you can do, Tiffany, if you want at the future meeting, obviously not in August, in June or July, is if you want to have a update presentation on the bike network, you know, if you have that separate from your regular presentation, you can do that. So that way you're able to show everybody what has occurred in the past 12 months.
And I can shorten up the presentation to the about our reviews and focus more on the bike network. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tiffany.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
so just for the record, we did have a third BPAC member join about an hour or so ago, Sibylis Rosado Mora. So we have a total of 3 members on board right here. Time right now is 7:25, and thank you all very much for attending and participating in this BPAC workshop. And we will see you next month.
Thank you.
Bye.